Hey everybody, Joe here from Avalon. It's early January as I record this, and with the new year comes a new set of tax deadlines.
Oh, January 1st. Better get going on those taxes, Nettie.
I may not have started on my taxes on January 1st like Flanders, but I do have some timely info for you on tax deadlines. So in this video, I'm going to break down important tax deadlines for individuals as well as the deadlines for corporations. I'll explain when you should file your tax return and when any tax payments are actually due. Believe it or not, they're not always the same date. So if you're just interested in a specific deadline, you can use the chapters below to jump to that part of the video. But I'll provide a quick overview and some examples when things get more complicated. So we'll look at personal tax deadlines, RRSP contribution deadlines, corporate tax deadlines, and GST, HST tax deadlines. So all that and nothing else coming right up. First up, we'll look at deadlines for personal tax returns. For non-self-employed people, commonly those who are employed and receive a T4, your 2022 personal tax return is due on Monday, May 1st, 2023. Now, normally this return is due on April 30th, but because April 30th falls on a Sunday this year, the return is due on the next business day, which happens to be May 1st. So any taxes owing are also due on that date. If you owe tax but can't pay yet, you should still file your return on time to avoid penalties. Really important. You'll be charged interest on late payments, but that's different from being charged penalties you would incur for late filing. So make sure, again, you file your tax return on time. So for self-employed individuals, your 2022 tax return is actually due on June 15th, 2023, but taxes are still due on that Monday, May 1st, 2023 date. Yeah, it's a bit strange to be required to pay your taxes before filing your tax return, but that's just how it is. If you aren't sure how much tax you owe on May 1st, you can still estimate your taxes and make a payment to avoid paying any interest on that late payment. Missing the payment deadline means that you could be charged interest, but again, no penalties will be incurred unless you miss that June 15th, 2023 filing deadline, so avoid that. Our best advice here is to aim to have your taxes filed by that May 1st date, even though the return isn't actually due until June 15th. If you are self-employed, a sole proprietorship, and you charge GST or HST and file annually, your deadlines are the same as for income taxes. So your GST, HST return will be due on June 15th, 2023, but the balance is still owing on that May 1st, 2023 date. If you're required to pay installments towards your estimated 2023 tax owing, these would be due on March 15th, June 15th, September 15th, and December 15th. So watch out for those dates. Now, when you file your return, CRA will send you a letter explaining your tax installment obligations. They'll let you know how much you should pay and when you should pay those installment payments. If you happen to overpay, you'll get a refund, and if you underpay, you'll be required to pay the additional amount by that May 1st, 2023 date. All right, let's move on to RRSP contribution deadlines. You can contribute to your RRSP and receive a deduction that will reduce your taxes for the year. So contribute to your RRSP by March 1st, 2023, and the contribution can be used as a deduction on your 2022 return, which is pretty handy. If you're not sure about RRSPs, check out our video and linked in the description below. That explains how RRSPs work. All right, so let's move on to corporate tax deadlines. Corporate tax deadlines are a little bit different than personal tax deadlines. For tax purposes, corporations can have year ends that are not December 31st. However, we can still easily figure out when your corporate tax return and amounts owing are due. So similar to personal taxes, your actual tax return date and the payment of taxes owing can be on different dates and usually are. So corporate tax return filings are due 6 months after your corporate year end. So let's clarify this with a couple of scenarios. So when the corporation's tax fiscal year ends on the last day of a month, the return is due by the last day of the 6th month following that year end date. For example, a December 31, 2022 year end would have a June 30, 2023 due date. If your year end was March 31, 2023, your return would be due September 30th, 2023, 6 months later. Next, we'll look at the deadline to pay your corporate taxes. Corporate taxes are due on a different date than the actual filing of the tax return. They're actually due a little bit earlier than the tax filing deadline. The short version is that corporate taxes owing are due 2 months after the year end. However, there is an exception that is very common where you get an extra month to pay your corporate taxes. Corporate taxes are due 3 months after the year end if the following criteria apply. So number one, the corporation is a Canadian-controlled private corporation. Number two, the corporation claimed the small business deduction for the current or previous year. And three, the corporation and all associated corporations had taxable income of less than $500,000 in the previous year. The exception noted above is pretty common, so there is a good chance if you run a small business, your corporate taxes are due 3 months after your year end. For example, back in 2021, Avalon Accounting Inc. met all 3 of those criteria, and our year-end date is August 31, 2021, so those taxes were due 3 months later, November 30th, 2021. Because it's a bit trickier, we recommend asking your accountant or sending us a message to make sure you've got the right dates there. All right, lastly, we'll look at GST HST deadlines for corporations. The first step is determine your filing frequency. So corporations will either be monthly filers, quarterly filers, or annual filers. And feel free to add that to your LinkedIn bio. Big flex if you're a monthly filer, it means you have lots of sales. So if your corporation is a monthly filer, the GST HST return and payment is due 1 month after the reporting period ends. Quarterly filers have a deadline of 1 month after that reporting period. And for annual filers, GST HST returns are due 3 months after the reporting period ends. Now, even if you don't have the cash to pay the amount owing, it's still a good idea to file your GST HST returns on time to avoid any late filing penalties. You may still be charged interest on late payments, but at least filing on time will keep the CRA from applying additional penalties. All right, so that's it. There's your tax deadlines in Canada for 2023. If you have another tax topic or update that you would like us to cover, please reach out in the comments below. We're also happy to provide general guidance, and we really do enjoy answering your questions, so please don't be shy down below. And if you've enjoyed this video or it's been helpful for you, please hit the like button. And if you like content like this or are a small business owner in Canada here, please consider subscribing. We love to put out more content, and the more subscribers we have, the more time we can commit to this. So please subscribe, like, do all that fun stuff for us. That would be fantastic. We really do appreciate all the support that we get. And thanks again, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.